Good evening, Coyote fans. Welcome in to episode 22 of the Howling podcast. My name is Jordan Decker. Tonight, once again joined by Chad Berger and Mark Wendt. Catch us on X at HowlWithUs3. If you would like, you can catch me on X as well at JD6OP5. Catch Mark at WDiamond605, and Chad is at Chad Berger, BIRGER, at Chad Berger. As always, to start off the show, a quick disclaimer. The opinions on this show are strictly ours and not those of USD or the athletic department. Tonight's show, once again, brought to you by the Wakanda Peach Company out of Burbank, South Dakota. Wakanda Peach Company, where all your peach dreams come true. Tonight, very special episode tonight. We're joined by a tremendous individual. Some say she's really, really good at basketball. We're honored to be joined by USD women's basketball student athlete Grace Larkins. That's coming up in a little bit. But we will also recap the week that was, look forward to the week or what's ahead. So with that, let's welcome in Chad and Mark. Gentlemen, good evening.
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys. Exciting day today. This was a good one.
Good day.
It's not often on a Sunday that we get to go watch a basketball game. So that, had a home basketball game today and that was fun. And now we're here doing this again. So good to see both of you.
You too. Glad we could make this work. Episode 22. Isn't that nuts?
It is.
Time flies.
Absolutely. Well, let's do a quick recap of the week that was. Before we get there, the week that was for South Dakota Athletics. Men's basketball team took on Kansas City, big win, 79-72 on February 13th, and then tough loss to SDSU today by 3 points at the SCSC. We'll break all this down in a lot more detail later on. The women's team had a big win, 63-56 on February 12th in the pink game against Kansas City, and a tough loss yesterday up at Brookings. And softball season's underway, 5 wins and 4 losses through 2 weekends. The track and field team had an exciting weekend with athletes at the Tyson Invite and the SDSU Classic, and there were multiple athletes at both of those events that moved up in the ladders in South Dakota, the South Dakota record books. So make sure to check out the results for those online. And men's golf opened the spring season today. They had a good first round, and so looking forward to what's coming up there. So that's a little bit of a recap of the week that was. But next, we'll go ahead and bring on our guest. So, Jordan, you want to introduce our guest?
Yeah. So we are honored to have one of the best women's basketball players to ever put on a Coyote uniform. Everyone welcome in number 21, Grace Larkins.
Hi,
hey,
guys.
Grace.
Hey, Grace.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Thanks for being here. Now, you were at the game today.
Yes,
correct?
I was.
That's awesome. I love seeing the student athletes supporting other student athletes and especially, whether it's women's basketball, men's basketball, you guys getting out and the rare opportunities, especially the other basketball teams getting out to supporting each other. So Grace, we're going to go kind of around the room, ask you some questions, nothing too tough, no pressure here. I'm sure some of us have some really fun ones for you too, but I kind of wanted to kick off the episode tonight and ask you, where did your love of basketball come from?
Yeah. I guess I've just always played. I think I've always been really competitive. So from a young age, I just had that drive in me to want to win. And my dad definitely taught me that if you can be aggressive, you can be good at basketball. And so from the beginning, I think I just loved it because, well, one, it's a great way to just hang out with your best friends every day. But it really drives that competitiveness into something really awesome and just built that love for the sport,
Grace, since you've been at USD, you've had a lot of different experiences throughout your career. What's it like, transitioning, between coaching staffs and all the different things that you've had to go through over the past few years?
Yeah. Oh, this is kind of a loaded question, but it's definitely been a blessing. Just through each coach, I have gotten to learn so much, but it's not exactly all like sunshine and rainbows that sometimes it makes it appear to be. It's hard. It's really sad because your basketball coach is someone that you're with for so much of that year or 2 years or however long it is. So to just kind of get like that influential person in your life, like not only on the basketball court, but in your life as well, your mentor there, it's definitely really hard. It's a hard transition, especially that period when you're almost coachless in a sense. But it's definitely there's so much beauty in that. There's so like more relationships to be built. There's adaptability. There's different things, strengths that come out of it. So it's been hard, but it's been awesome, and I wouldn't change it.
Grace, I'm going to follow up on that a little bit. I'm curious, when a coaching change does happen, I imagine there's a group chat with all your players without the coaches in it. Like, I assume that blows up. How much, especially nowadays where there's so much flexibility for you guys, like you could go play somewhere else. You could, like, how much lobbying or rallying, I can't even say that word, but what's that group text like when something like that happens?
Yeah, it's a good question too. Obviously, it's obvious that it's blowing up, of course. Honestly, normally we kind of figure it out before it happens, if that makes sense. Because especially with Coach K, we did see that the Green Bay job opened because their coach retired. So we knew that there maybe was a chance there. It made sense for her because her family's from there as well, and she played there. And so you kind of prepare yourself a little bit just in case. But yeah, then it's just a matter of like panic a little bit of like, oh my goodness, like I not lost because obviously you can still talk to them, but you have a whole new situation. You don't have this person that has a lot of influence over you anymore. So there is definitely rallying of just being like, okay, what are we doing here? And with the team. But I don't know. It's really hard to describe because a little bit of it is just like processing. So you need a few days to just take it in and figure out what you want to do. But for sure there's rallying behind there with the teammates as well, being like, let's stick it out together. We got this.
So Grace, then with like the several coaching changes, right? Like what goes into your mindset beyond basketball? Because you obviously have to think about education too, right? Like, did that play a major role in whether it's undergrad and or grad school? Talk about that process too and thinking about it. Like why USD through all the changes that have happened the last 4 years or so? Why did you stick it out with USD?
Yeah, I kind of have two answers to this. My first one would just be the community here. I've built such strong friendships, such strong like church community here. Just through, I feel safe here. I'm comfortable. There's so much going for me here, and I genuinely love it in Vermilion. And so being like, okay, like maybe my coach left, maybe I should leave. But my mom said it so perfectly of like, okay, you could go somewhere and the basketball could be so great, but you could hate every other aspect of it. Or you could stay and maybe, and this was like a maybe, like I honestly think it all played out great of like, okay, maybe the basketball isn't as what you thought it would be, but you love your life. And like basketball isn't fully, like you're going to be done with basketball in 6 months. Are you going to regret staying, leaving? Like the grass isn't always greener, essentially, is how my mom explained it. And that was really refreshing to hear, especially with a lot of people being like, oh, leave. So that was nice, as well as just school was a huge part of it as well. Being a senior, if you leave, your credits get messed up, as well as I love it in Vermilion. Like it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse, but I genuinely do. And I want to go to law school here. And so that would kind of mess up that plan too. That would be so odd to leave and then come back. I just love it here. I love the community here. The culture at USD is just kind of unbeatable. And it's really hard to describe until you live it.
Wonderful answer.
All right, Grace, I'm going to switch gears a little bit here. And I want to talk about scoring a little bit. So I was never a huge scorer. I think my career high in a varsity game was like 9 points. So, like you obviously have had some major success this season with scoring. You've set multiple career records, including, the 47 points in one game. What's it like when you're just on fire in a game and you just feel like you're scoring every time down the floor?
Yeah, it's really surreal. That's another thing that's hard to describe, but honestly, it's one of those where you don't realize it in the moment a little bit. Like, it takes me a day to be like, "Oh my gosh, I did that. That was crazy." Like, in the moment, it just feels like another game, and I'm really locked in. I honestly had no idea how many points I was at, and nor did I care. I was like, "I wanna win. I wanna win so bad." And so, was more just living in the moment, and I didn't even know after the game until a little while after, because you're just kinda in that moment, you're not necessarily focused on stat lines or anything like that, but definitely reflecting, you're like, "That was crazy. I don't think I've ever done that before." So, it's definitely one where you kinda reflect afterwards.
So quick follow-up question before Mark asks his, but what was your like career high or your season scoring average when you were in high school?
Yeah, in high school, I definitely wasn't. I was a volume scorer, but not to the extent that I am now. This season, at least. I want to say my career high before that was maybe like 30 points, 32, and that was like maybe once or twice. Overall, I probably averaged around 20 points throughout my 4 years, though. So I came out hot as a freshman, but maintained for the most part.
All right. Mark's on mute. It's his first time ever on the program here. So.
Podcasting is hard.
Welcome to the program, Mark.
Clip that. Chad's doing a really good job of leading into my questions. I kind of wanted to follow up on that. One, how aware of were you that you were nearing the 2,000 point mark? And number two, back to the NDSU game, is that the first time you met Mandy Copel, or have you met her before?
Okay, the 2,000 point mark, I was aware because my dad sets big goals for me sometimes. Not that I undershoot my goals, but he is the best and just thinks very highly of me. If you ever meet him, it sometimes bites him in the butt a little bit, but I love how much he loves me, and I love it, and I love him. And so he told me at the beginning of the season, he was like, "You're gonna hit 2K." And at that point, it didn't seem super probable. Just with where I was at and like my averages through the past seasons, I'd never done anything like scoring this much ever before. But he had high hopes for me, so he would remind me at times, and it was cute, and it was honestly giving me like not necessarily like a goal to reach for, because I really am not stat focused, if that makes sense. I could care less if I score 2 points if we win the game. But it was awesome to just have him kind of in the like after each game be like, "Oh, you did so good and you're like this many away." And then he ended up having a big banner for me at the game. So that was so sweet, because funny story, but when I was in high school, we just forgot my 1K. Like, I hit 1,000 points and no one knew. I didn't know either. I one day just checked how many I was at, and I was at like 1,500 ish. So he was like, "I made up for that," which is funny. Yeah. And then the Mandy Copel question. I'd met her at India. I think she lives around there. So I met her last year, maybe it was 2 years ago. Legend. It's so cool to just hear her story and how she scored all those points in only 3 years. So I'd met her before, but getting a chance to talk to her a little bit more was awesome after the NDSU game.
Grace, do you have any bulletin board material in your locker? Any quotes or anything from high school or anything that really motivates you?
I always have a Bible verse and it's kind of on the inside of my locker, but I kind of have it all around. It's kind of like the verse slip. I have it on a bracelet, but it's John 1:5. So it's the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness will not overcome it. So no matter how bad your circumstances are, no matter how hard the world gets, you kind of have that light with you, and like you can be the light through Jesus. But then also Coach K, this is such a funny story, but my sophomore year we went on a or maybe it was my junior year. It was one of the 2 years. We went on a team retreat, and she gave us all, we watched this like documentary, and she gave us all these little sharks. Is a shark, and what you want to do is you want to be a shark. You want to be the predator of the ocean. Like, essentially, that you want to be the predator. You want to create your own opportunities. Sharks can't swim backwards, so you aren't dwelling on your mistakes. You can't look backwards, it's forwards. And you just are super intimidating. You're out there, you're creating things for yourself. So I still have that shark that just sits in my locker. It's like a little rubber shark. And honestly, that's like, I know hopefully when I become a lawyer one day, that's going right on my desk.
We're gonna have to start putting up like shark fins or something when you
Lark the shark.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's go. I love that.
Print the t-shirt.
Our manager, we used to call her Lizzo. She was our manager my freshman year. I think she worked for the university, maybe Elizabeth Cordell, I want to say it's her last name. Yep. She used to call me Lark the Shark. It was so funny. So I can't take all the credit for that.
That is awesome. So Grace, you obviously are a very prolific scorer, but you're also very high on the charts for a lot of other things, a lot of other categories, rebounds, assists, steals, top 10 for, all these different things. Is it something where are you just trying to do the best you can to help the team win? Or, how does it feels like you just accumulate all these statistics all the time and you're always just have a huge stat line. Like, I don't know how you do all that. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I honestly think you hit it on the mark. Is I'm trying to do the best I can in the role that I was given, just as much as anyone else is. And so I do think at times like our offense is designed for maybe me to score. And so that shouldn't take away from anything else my teammates are doing because they're doing the same exact thing. But just being ultra aggressive, but with that comes maybe defensive sink, and I'm kicking to my teammates when they're open. So there's the assist right there, right? And then rebounds, I think that's a hustle thing. When in doubt, if everything's going wrong, you can still pursue the basketball and like rebound. And I think I was naturally trained, like when a shot goes up, you're running towards it, where maybe that's not everyone was trained in that way. So it's harder to learn then. It's harder to pick up that habit. But just pursuing the ball, I don't know. That's the best answer I can give, I think. It's not necessarily something that you are like, okay, I'm going to get 10 assists this game, or it just kind of has to happen naturally. And so our offense definitely helps me in the scoring category with the way that it's set up, where maybe like it would be a lot harder for some of our teammates to have that. And it kind of sets me up as well for assists then.
Good. Grace, before we move on to the next question, I do want to mention, if anyone's out there watching on YouTube land, go ahead and chime in on the comments. If you have questions for Grace, if we think that, there's something that Grace wants to answer, we'll go ahead and put those on the show and allow YouTube people to interact. Yeah. Mark, go ahead.
Grace, I kind of want to go back. I listened to you did the show recently with John Gaskins, and he talked a lot about the I believe it was a semifinal game with Caitlin Clark's team in high school.
Yes.
And I Googled that just to look for more information about what happened during that game. But
I know what you're about to say.
I'm going to ask you about the car wreck. What? Was that the day before the game?
Yeah. No, that was so crazy. I was like 16. I was definitely 16, maybe 17. I was sophomore in high school. And to get to my high school, I had to take an S-curve road. And it's kind of like country road. And there was just black ice on the road. And I don't even think I was driving very fast. I'm a very cautious driver because I'm not very good at driving. So my attention span's a little iffy at times. So I have to drive slow. And I hit a patch, and because of the curve, my car just went kind of flying. And then I'm a 16-year-old, so I'm freaking out, moving the wheel like this, and my car just flipped, and it was so scary. But honestly, I landed upside, I was upside down, but my seatbelt was just holding me. And honestly, the worst injury I got was I unbuckled my seatbelt and my head just slammed down. Was not using my brain in that moment. But then that day I had to go to school, because if you didn't, go to class, then you couldn't play. Like there was some weird high school so like rule conscious, if that makes sense. Like high school basketball is. So I still had to go to class, and I was really shaken up because I was 16 at the time. So it was, and I remember like my mom, I was just bawling my eyes out. I was just so like, you're just freaked out. And then the next day we had to play, but luckily like it all worked out. I was fine. My mom drove me to school the next day. And we put in like state basketball is in Des Moines, so it's not like we had to stay in a hotel or anything. Like we just would go straight from our high school. So then we won that game, which was so exciting as well. So I know that story kind of traumatizes me because that was like, not that it's like, it's a little embarrassing though to be like, oh, I flipped my car, and so then all of a sudden it was all over the news, and I was like, this sucks.
Good at basketball, not so good at driving. That's
yeah, pretty much.
Say, Grace, who's your hero in your life?
Oh, that's such a tough question. I feel like I have a lot of different heroes for a lot of different circumstances, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I have like my dad's my hero when it comes to work ethic. My mom's my hero when it comes to just like how you should treat people. I had a cross-country coach my sophomore year who was also my neighbor, and she was just the definition of like the person you should want to be, like the hardest worker, but so humble, so quiet behind the scenes. And I'd never heard her say a negative comment before. And like obviously like she was a mom of 2 or 3 kids, like had probably not a lot to complain about, but I think like her in that moment, she had young kids. She was not sleeping a lot because of that, and would still show up with a smile on her face and go run the 10 miles with us, like the best. So I think depending on circumstance, I have different heroes.
Grace, I know there's still a lot of season left this season, but your future, obviously you're going to graduate. You talked about going to law school. Do you have any plans to attempt to try professional basketball? Or I heard in one interview that you did with Midco, you said that you would, you love running and you would enjoy doing like cross country. Are you going to do like a marathon, or like what else do you have planned for the future?
Yes, I'm still kind of trying to just decipher what I want to do. I'm considering maybe entering my name in the draft. I'm not sure how much would come of that, but I mean, never hurts to try, right? I could definitely see myself. I don't want to stop working out. I know myself enough to know if I stop, I'm not going to start again. And so I definitely am going to consider maybe like marathon training or like CrossFit. Maybe take like a few weeks off in between. But for sure, I'm a busybody, so I definitely want to do something with working out, whether that's basketball or whether that's something of the sorts. If I when I go to law school, I would definitely consider intramurals, but that would I don't know how that would go for me. I'm so competitive, and I think I would just get really mad. So we'll see. But
can you imagine showing up to an intramural game and Grace Larkins is on the other team? I mean, I would just walk away at that point.
I had my ankles broken by Rachel Contreras once. If I ever saw Grace Larkins on the court, I would walk away because that's not happening twice to me. Like,
I heard though in the co-ed that they do like the co-ed intramurals, the girls' points are worth more than the guys. And so my boyfriend, he's in PT school right now, and he was on a team, and I don't think their team was very good because like a lot of them didn't play basketball. But he was like, I'm already like, you have to be on my team next year.
I watched Monica Arns tear up that league when she had the nursing. She didn't play that final year, but yeah. She tore that up.
You guys better pull up to the intramural games, get a crowd going.
Bring the eye chart, yeah.
Bring the eye chart. Oh my gosh.
Grace, one more for me. You've done obviously tremendous things in your years here with USD. How would you script the ending if you could?
Well, I feel like anyone would say Summit League Championship would be awesome. But I just want to go out of USD women's basketball, just being really proud to be a Yote, and like despite the ending, and that would be amazing if we win Summit League. Obviously, that's the goal there, but just to go out like leaving it better than I found it, and not only being maybe like known for points or statistics, but being known as like a great teammate. I want to be someone that loves people well. And so I hope, if anything, like no one's really going to remember a random game you had on a Thursday, but they're going to remember like how you treated them if they wanted to sit by you on the bus. So stuff like that more than anything, just loving on my teammates and like those around me.
Grace, I don't have a question, but I do want to follow Mark, and just a comment to you and a thanks to you. You chose USD. You stuck with USD through thick and thin. And I know a lot of fans in Coyote Nation that are very appreciative of everything you've done, how you represented yourself, the team, USD. This is just the beginning for you, right? Like, you've got such a bright future ahead of you in whatever you choose to do. And I cannot wait to see you succeed and submit your legacy, right? Like USD, we talk a lot about legacy. You've submitted yours on the court, but you're just getting started. You're just getting started. So I know we talked about a little bit before we hopped on, but I hope we see you around plenty after you've graduated, maybe in section 106, row 2, before a couple games. But I cannot thank you enough if I may, on behalf of Coyote Nation, of what you've done, but you're not done yet. And we look forward to seeing you the rest of this college basketball season.
Oh, well, thank you. I for sure will be coming to sit with you guys next year.
Yes.
Save me a seat.
Absolutely.
Done.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Grace. That was a great interview. You did awesome. We appreciate having you on and look forward to watching you the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right.
Grace.
Go Yotes.
Go Yotes.
Go Yotes.
All right. That was awesome. That's Jordan, I just about started tearing up there, Jordan. Gee whiz. Holy cow.
Hey, I meant it, man. You don't get that a lot, right? It
really, that whole senior class deserves that too. Alexi, Carly Duffney, Cassidy Carson. I hate to be missing someone here, but that senior.
How to help you with that.
Thanks, Alexa. But that whole group, right? They have 3 head coaches in college, and that's not how anyone scripts their college basketball career. And props to all of them for sticking it out. We certainly appreciate it.
All right.
Absolutely, Mark. And thanks for pointing that out, because the Grace was not alone, and just this entire senior class has been instrumental in keeping it together for USD. That was a great interview.
She's awesome.
Let's go ahead and jump onto the news and notes. Mark, you want to lead us through these?
Yeah, so I guess the big news of the last, since the Chiefs didn't show up to the Super Bowl, was the Yote Fund details were released. That caused a lot of back and forth on Twitter, and my phone was blowing up. I don't know about your guys's, about questions about, does this count? Does that count? I would say I would give a shout out to Ben LeCompte, who spearheaded that fund, or appears to have. I don't know all the details, obviously, but he's been really gracious on social media, answering questions people had. And I know they're doing I think it's John Thayer's having it on the Yotecast, or maybe it's the Coyote Report. I forget which, but a question and answer deal where you can submit your questions now and get those answered with John. So that's big news there. And obviously, as we just talked with Grace, 3rd Coyote all-time women's basketball to surpass 2,000 points.
Not in one game. That would be a record.
That would be a record. She's 50 behind Nicole Seecamp for 2nd all-time at USD. Grace Larkins, maybe that happens next game. Who knows? And kind of cool, this afternoon, our friend and frequent guest, Dr. O, was awarded Professor of the Game today. So, Chad, maybe you can tell us what that feeling's like.
I've never won. I don't know.
No.
Thanks
Oh,
for
no.
digging it up. Wow.
Shout out Dr. O, but that is a blow below the belt.
Well, he controls the ticker. I feel
That's
like I
fair.
Wow. All right. Well,
Good night, folks. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Congrats to Dr. O. We were very happy for Dr. O for winning that this afternoon. It was a great thing. Super nice, smart, just great for her to win that. And we were very proud.
For sure.
All right. Well, let's jump in and do a deep dive here into some of the basketball games that we've seen over the past week or so. Start off with the game on February 12th, where the University of South Dakota hosted the Roos from Kansas City and came out with a 63-56 victory. This one was the pink out game at the SCSC. And this one, started off with kind of a tight game in the first quarter, and then at halftime, the Yotes had the lead, and second half, able to kind of fend them off a little bit and keep that lead for the big victory. Mark, you got any comments you want to add here?
Yeah. So the thing about this game is kind of a rock fight. And if I had told you guys we're going to score 63 points and Grace Larkins is going to be our third leading scorer, do we win the game? I would guess most people probably would have said probably not. So props to the defense for holding Kansas City down. I know they handled us pretty good down there. So great defensive battle really on both sides. And we were fortunate to come out on top in the pink game.
And shout out Gabby Wilkie.
Yes,
21
coming
points.
out party.
Tremendous shooting night. 6 of 8 from the field, the 5 of 7 from 3-point land, and 4 of 4 from the free throw line. And Kansas City is a pretty decent team in the Summit League. I think you got the 3 up top with the XDSUs and Oral Roberts. That's kind of like the tier 1, if you will. But Kansas City is no slouch. That was a good win for the Yote Gals.
Yeah, if you listen to Gabby Wilkie, I know she was on the Coyote Report and on the Yotecast with John Thayer, and she talked a lot about what's the biggest adjustment, and she always said confidence. I'm trying to feel confident that I belong here, and it was really good to see her have a really excellent game. Yeah.
Mark, you highlighted Grace's 10 for 14 free throws and then 10 rebounds as well.
Yeah, I suppose for Grace Larkins, for the average fan, they're like that was a down game, and she nearly had a double-double yet again. And I know she mentioned, I don't know if that was while we were recording or before we got on, but Grace mentioned her free throw shooting, 10 of 14. I would take that all day, every day. So a quiet game for her, if that's possible, in a double-double. So.
Then on Saturday, the Yotes traveled up to Brookings and took on the first place Jackrabbits from South Dakota State. And, South Dakota State is a machine. They've won 400 straight games. Whatever it is, it's a lot in Summit League action. It's basically since, the last couple of years here. But the Yotes were in this one right at the end there. It was a single-digit game in the fourth quarter and really came down to the end. Unfortunately, the Yotes weren't able to pull it off, and the Jackrabbits won 71-61 here.
Yeah, I think, and we have been texting too, I liked the game plan. Clearly, it was take one of the Myers out of the game, and I thought they did a good job of taking Brooklyn Meyer, the post player for that school. They did a good job of taking her out, and it was kind of like you're watching it. And I get it. Trust me, if you're listening and you were frustrated with allowing Paige Meyer to shoot, I get it. But I kind of like the high risk, high reward. Paige, you're either going to have a phenomenal game or you're going to brick a bunch of shots, and we're going to hope to kind of get those long rebounds. First half looked great. second half, Paige Meyer turned it on into the player like we assume and that she is. I mean, they've got a phenomenal team up there. I liked and appreciated the game plan that Carrie had for the game, but it was just a tale. That first quarter was great, and it was that second and third quarter that really did us in. And you guys know this, I follow the Summit League. I do another thing with the women's basketball thing, but that's what SDSU does. It's like there's always two quarters. It's usually the second and third or the third and the fourth that that's how they separate themselves. And it must be that halftime speech by Coach Johnson up there. But yeah. I loved the effort and just came up short against a really good one, the best defensive team in the league.
Yeah, we'll put the individual stats up here as well. Grace Larkins finished with 23 points for the Yotes, also had 10 rebounds and 9 assists. I did mention previously before the show, but she had 1 block on the game, but she should have had 3. I feel like the refs really called a couple fouls there on some block. They looked like clean blocks to me. I don't know. Hold up the eye chart, Mark. Great game by Grace. Alexi Hempy also had 15 points on 5 of 7 from 3-point shooting. And overall, the Yotes had 11 assists on the game. Grace had 9 of those. So, any other comments here, guys?
There's too many little scoring droughts there. We, like Jordan said, we were in the game for 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters, really. Just too many scoring droughts for the Yotes. But overall,
20 in the paint.
Right.
That was it.
Overall, I think you leave there and you're like, we can play with these. I mean, they're obviously very, very good, and they would probably say they played terribly, but I think you leave with a little confidence after that game. I really do.
Yeah, the points in the paint were close. Like I told you guys, it was just, I think there was at least 2 4-minute scoring droughts. There might have been like another 3-minute sprinkled in there, but especially on the road, and that's a tough place to play. You can't have that much scoring not happen.
Right.
So again, no moral victories. It's still a loss, but I liked and appreciated the game plan by the coaching staff.
100%.
Well, let's move on to the men's games then. On Thursday, all 3 of us were sitting in section 106, row 2, and the Midco camera folks did Jordan a little dirty and kind of left him off the edge of our screen here. I don't know what was going on there.
Listen, I got a bone to pick. No, I'm just kidding. I brought both my boys. I just happen to be, let's see how you're looking at this. I guess it'd be our left of Mark, literally that empty seat. And I'm sitting right there with my 2 boys. And there's some footage of me that looks like I'm recording the football team walking past me, but it was the amazing drum line at halftime. Just awkward. I'm always so awkward on camera.
The drum line. You're right.
Yeah. We'll talk about awkwardness on camera here in a little bit. So anyways, I put this picture up here because I don't know if anyone has more fun at USD basketball games than Mark and I do. I feel like, that everyone was texting me these pictures on Thursday night, but I'm like, this picture just encapsulates the 2 of us having a blast while watching a basketball game. And this one was at halftime, but it's fun. We have a good time. I don't know, Mark, if you have anything to say about that.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's always a blast. Win, lose, or draw. We have a good time. That's what I mean. It's sports. It's supposed to be fun. So make it fun.
I have a good time too. I'm just never on camera to prove it.
So on Thursday night, the Yotes hosted the Roos from Kansas City. And this one, it was a tough one. The Roos came in with not a great league mark, 3-9, but one of those victories was against the Yotes earlier in the season down there. And so, there were some matchup things that kind of bothered the Yotes. They did have, some great players. And then, I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say maybe Tim Stewart and Scott Brown didn't have the best nights of their life. Officiating wise, and go ahead and find me Summit League. That's fine. I don't make any money off sports anyways, but maybe those guys could have had a little bit better game, but luckily the Yotes were able to prevail 79-72, moving them to 7-4 in the Summit League.
How about Dre?
How about Dre?
Holy smokes.
What about
How
Dre?
about Dre? What
Dre
about Dre?
finished with 26 points, 9 of 15 shooting. He's been kind of hot from the 3-point, since that cast came off, and 3 of 6 in this game, 5 of 6 from the free throw line, and just had a spectacular game. Look at the steal mark. Mark, you didn't highlight this one, but look at those steals right there. 17 steals on Thursday night. 6 of them by Bullock, and
that's a big number. Big
yeah.
number.
When that pressure's on, we'll talk about the game against SDSU today. But when that pressure is on, that just wreaks havoc. And Kansas City, for folks, they were predicted. This is how much preseason polls matter. They were predicted they were preseason poll number 1 in the league. And when you look at them, you go, oh boy, they're athletic. But they're not gelling for the full 40 minutes. But yeah, Dre had a great game. Isaac had a great game. The defense, I thought, was phenomenal overall.
Yeah, the games have completely flipped. Earlier season games, we were looking at scores 108 to 97, and that. Now we're playing in the 70s, 80s for the most part. So the defense has definitely picked up. And like you say, when the press is on, when they have that dialed up to 10, it's rough for the opposing
and
team.
Boom. And shout out Boom too. We made this comment in the game too. His footwork in that game and the baby hook that he had, he showed it a little bit earlier today too. Like it was fun. It was like, can we do that every time? At least get him a touch every time, right?
Yeah, he looks really confident. Really confident.
Yep. Confidence is growing.
And finished with 11 points, 18 minutes, 5 of 7 shooting, and unfortunately 1 for 3 from the free throw line. That was his strong point coming in, but struggled a little bit there. But for the most part, really good game by him. Overall, the game atmosphere on Thursday night was spectacular. I don't have my program here with me, but there was some celebration of Black history going on, and a drum line was there. There was lots of cool festivities going on with the students and everything. So it was a great atmosphere and a great environment for a game.
Shout out Dr. Robin Duncan for professor of the game.
Yes.
Chad and I both know him. He's
the USD Sioux Falls professor. Yeah. Yep.
Yes, great guy.
Yep.
But you're right, Chad. It was phenomenal. Whether it was the Black History Month game or the Native American Heritage Day game, like I got to talk to Charlie. Those shirts were amazing.
Yes.
And shout out Marcus Destin for kind of emceeing the whole thing. Man. He does such a great job, and just keeping everyone involved and knowing what's going on, and just does a fantastic job.
Always.
All right. Anything else about the game on Thursday night?
I did highlight the 16 assists there. I think that's got to be close to our season high in assists. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the biggest number I've seen in a while for the men.
I would love to find out when's the last time, if ever, we've had more steals than assists.
Yeah.
Well, someone will have to do a little bit of research for us here this week then and see if we can figure that out.
I'll get right on it.
Perfect. We don't break news, we sprain it. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next game for the Yotes. It was Sunday, 1 p.m. at the Sanford Coyote Sports Center, and hosting the Jackrabbits from South Dakota State. Attendance for this game, official attendance listed as 3942. Very good crowd on hand for this one. Unfortunately, the Yotes ended up on the wrong end of the scoreboard here, 94-91. And you guys watched it. I'll let you talk.
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, I think Coach Peterson nailed it in the postgame. There was a 8-minute stretch there in the second half where we just the defense, the press wasn't as intense as it was early on. We weren't rebounding. Every offensive rebound State got, it feels like they were kicking it out for a three. Just kind of back-breaking type, not getting the rebound. But I would give them credit. Like, we were down 15 with 4 minutes to go, somewhere in that ballpark. And I thought it was wave the white flag. Let's lick our wounds and move on to the next one. But boy, they did not give up. And it's very rare that you see a South Dakota State team rattled, but I really felt like we had them rattled there. Those, like, they threw the ball away and we had the ball down 3 with 30 seconds to go or whatever it was. Really a remarkable end. And like Petey said in the post game, the game needed to be 2 minutes longer, and maybe we're smiling a lot more about this box score.
Yeah, I don't want to bring up free throws, but they made 3 more free throws than us. We lost by 3. No, I thought I agree with you, Mark. I like the fight. I thought Moore's of SDSU, he had a stretch there where he was constantly beating and like hustling a little bit more, whether it was him scoring or him like passing it off or creating an open 3. He was a part of that stretch there that I thought that really blew it open. And just off the ball movement, I was noticing that like during that stretch, that was the biggest difference. And I'll look up their freshman 14, Jaden Jackson. He had 19. Like Petey said, that's a career game for him. I think he had 19 earlier this year, if I recall, but he had a great game. But, at the end of the day, we got to rebound a little better. Chad, do you have the stats of like the team stats? Otherwise I can.
Yeah, they're both up there.
Okay. So it's 44 to 30. 44. Well, I'm on a different screen. I'm back now. 44 to 30. Yeah. 44 to 30 rebounds, which clearly hurt us, but I like the fight. But there was just, you're right, Mark, that stretch in the second half to that 7-8 minutes, that's what did us in. But I like the fight. I wouldn't want to play us on a 3 straight game tournament. But we'll get into it here. We got 2 big games coming up against the other top 2 teams in the league, but good crowd on hand. I thought there'd be, I appreciate the students. It's a holiday weekend. It is what it is. A lot of stuff going around. It's cold. So great atmosphere, surrounded by a lot of good people today. Just tough loss.
So Jordan, you had texted me the picture here on the bottom of the screen earlier. Do you want to tell us what that's all about?
I have no idea. I was trying to get my kid to calm down from kicking his cousin in the back, and I noticed you were on the screen. So I'm like holding my kid in my left hand, or my left arm, trying to like get him, and I'm shaking trying to get a picture of you. I don't know. It was was it a dance cam?
No, it was just an ordinary timeout, and I'm standing there just clapping, and all of a sudden I look up at the screen, and I'm on the screen. And I don't know what to do with my hands. And so I think I clapped for a little bit. I might have done something. I gave the like double finger point. I didn't know what to do. It was really awkward, but it was fun. And I'm glad that I was on the camera in front of 4,000 people.
No, it was a great and and for Kyle fans listening too, take this to heart, if you will, if from a SDSU fan through me, or fans through me that were sitting behind me. It was kind of a house divided thing. They said that was their first time there, and they thought our arena was top notch. They said it's a great place to watch a basketball game. They made the obvious comment, as we have, that they wish we could get a little bit more fans to a big game like that. But they loved the facility. They thought everything was beautiful, and the quote was how fortunate we are to have 2 great facilities in the state of South Dakota for Division I basketball. So I hope Kyle fans out there know what they have. This building's almost 10 years old now. Can you believe that? I think it's 9 years old, right? Like, isn't that insane already? But we got a great facility. There's a few more home games left. So if you can get out to support the student athletes, please do so.
Absolutely. I've said for years it's probably the number 1 location to watch a basketball game in the state of South Dakota. So I haven't been to every single.
There too.
Yeah. Even on Thursday night when there was, far fewer fans, there was like 1,700 fans, it still gets loud in there during that, those games. And so with 4,000 there, it was a packed in, rocking place and a fun game. And, unfortunately, the score ended up the way it did. But, that's how it worked out. We'll pull up the USD individual stats here. Isaac Bruns led the scorers for the Yotes with 21 points. Dre Bullock had 20. Chase Forte finished with 16. And Boom had double digits in this one as well with 10.
Mm-hmm.
Dre Bullock, he's hot from 3, 4 for 8 from 3 in this one. Just doing some great things with the basketball. But unfortunately, he did foul out right at the end of the game. But, played really hard, got 2 steals. Did some really good things. And I thought overall, that when you have to make that furious comeback attempt, from being down 15 with, I don't remember how much time was left there, but a lot of those guys were getting really gassed, but just putting in the work and just about able to tie it up right at the end of the game there.
Yeah. And I've been high on Shea this season because there's a ton of potential there. If he can get by that first level just off the ball there and you allow him to attack, he's a fantastic finisher for the most part. It's just getting that confidence to get by his guy that was a struggle today against they had talented guards on him. But if Shea can get by that first level, I feel like he could take off from the free throw line and finish. Maybe do a little Matt McClung. Maybe he could jump over a Kia, I don't know.
No one else watched that, Jordan. Don't worry. Don't.
Yeah.
Everyone else is watching hockey, and here I am like obsessing over the dunk contest. I'm in the minority. It's fine.
The other thing, I don't know about you guys, but watching this game this afternoon, I don't know how many times you said silently, maybe in your head, Cameron Fens would sure be handy today.
Yep.
Their big guys is a problem, and we're kind of thin at the 5 there. So Cameron Fens would have certainly helped. I don't know if it would have made a difference, but he certainly would have helped.
And credit to where credit's due. Oscar, what's his last name? Clough. Great footwork. Holy cow. That footwork is something else.
Yeah, that's a good get by State to get him to come there.
All right. Well, that's the game this afternoon. Fun atmosphere, just very unfortunate on the outcome for that one. I did want to say, so we've been doing a tipsy at the tip thing, and where we kind of take a little sip of our beverage at the opening tip off for each game, and it's been catching on. Thursday night we had really good participation in section 106. I posted a picture of it on Friday on the Twitter, and today I was getting ready for tip off, and I'm sitting there in the seat, and Coach Peterson, turns around and looks up and makes eye contact with me and grabs his bottle of water. And as the tip off's about ready to happen, he takes a big chug of his bottle of water. So shout out Coach Peterson. This is catching on. We're going to go.
Now it takes off. Now we go.
Yep.
3 games left in the regular season. Now it takes off.
Hey,
count me in.
We can do it at Summit League tournament too. I'm going to see if I can find the photo of me today, but Mark said I had a really good one with like a profile shot and everything. So
yeah. No, that should be a poster.
Yep. We'll see what we can do. Well, what's coming up this week then for the Yotes? Men's basketball on Wednesday, mark your calendars. Wednesday, host St. Thomas, which is the number 1 team in the league. It also is Star Wars night. So I don't know if you have Star Wars stuff at home like I do. I've got 3 boys, so I've got all kinds of Star Wars stuff. But if you need Star Wars stuff to wear or whatever, lightsabers, I've got all that stuff. But it's Star Wars night, so I don't know what exactly they're doing for the game, but that sounds like a win to me.
For sure.
This is a big game. This is a huge game.
Absolutely.
Hey, sun's going to come out tomorrow. We're going to go, yesterday sucked. It's a loss. But more importantly, there's games coming up here that especially on Wednesday, get to Vermilion if you can. If you live within an hour of Vermilion, it's a Wednesday night, skip whatever you need to. This is a massive game for USD to stay in contention with NDSU for that 3 spot. Or excuse me, I'm sorry, for that 4 spot. The 3 spot's not out of reach. Really, the 2 spot's not out of reach. We would need some help, a lot of help. But we need that because right now, if the season ended today, I don't think the Summit League website's updated, but we would be playing NDSU in the first round 4 or 5. So same time, this is the one matchup I do not like for our squad. Just being honest. So they're good.
Thomas is good. They're
good.
very good. They're very deep. They play a lot of guys. We obviously saw up there. We didn't get, we had some maybe questionable officiating when we played up in St. Paul the first time. There was, I think, 427 free throws shot during that game. I might be exaggerating. It might be true. I don't know. But yeah.
I actually drove up, watched the first half, and drove back and caught the end of the game for that one.
Yeah.
But hopefully we have some maybe better officials during the one on Wednesday night at the SCSC. But Saturday then, so we play the number 1 team in the Summit League on Wednesday at home, and then Saturday we go to the number 2 team in the Summit League on the road at Omaha. Road trip, you guys up?
I'm in. Let's go.
I've told you I've got a pre-arranged. I've got meetings in Vermilion.
Okay.
I cannot go, but please, if you are in Omaha or know of anyone in Omaha, it's a couple hours away.
Yeah.
Make it a fun weekend down in Omaha.
Yep.
They only get like 400 fans to show up to their home games. So
it's a 7 p.m. tip-off. And so, even if you make the trip and you decide not to stay, you'll still be home before midnight. So, make it happen. Get down to Omaha, cheer on the Yotes. Women's basketball Thursday. The women's game is Thursday this week. February 20th plays at Omaha. So once again, another opportunity to head down that way. But then Saturday plays at St. Thomas up in the Twin Cities. So kind of flipped from what the men play here, but both of these ones are on the road. So a couple opportunities there to catch the Yotes. If you're able to travel, do so. If not, you can always watch the games on the Summit League Network or listen on the radio. Jerry Pleshy does a great job calling the women's games. So yeah, make sure to follow along there.
And if I may, guys, Omaha, Minneapolis, a couple of the bigger areas of Yote alumni. If you're listening to this, chance to see obviously the Yotes, but a chance to see maybe your only time this season if you're up there or down in Omaha, Grace Larkins play. Okay. So if you can get to those games, please do. I can't emphasize enough. Just get to watch her.
Yeah. You won't regret it.
Yep.
All right. Softball goes back to Commerce, Texas to play Prairie View A&M twice, and then East Texas A&M 3 times over the weekend, Friday through Sunday.
How many A&M schools are in Texas? Holy crap.
We're on the A&M tour. I don't know if you guys caught any of the softball game these last 2 weeks, but they're very young, but they have some pretty exciting players. They're scoring a lot of runs. They seem to have some depth at pitching, which has been a problem in the past. So I'm a big softball fan. I'm going to keep including them on our little rundown here. Kind of a fun team to watch. They ran into they started off 5-1, lost 3 here this past weekend, but really a fun team to watch.
Now, I'm going to say this week, in addition to the 2 basketball games for men, 2 basketball games for women, and the, 5 softball games that we have going on, there also is something going on in USD Athletics every single day of the week this coming week. So you can see today there were 4 things that happened. There was the tennis, men's golf, softball, men's basketball. Men's golf continues going on Monday and Tuesday. Swimming and diving, the conference meet starts on Wednesday. So there's going to be swimming and diving on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. There's men's basketball on Wednesday, as we mentioned. There's women's basketball on Thursday. Track and field coming up on Friday. Women's golf on Friday. They're kicking off their spring season. Some little women's tennis going on there, and then the softball, as we mentioned. There's so many opportunities and things happening for USD Athletics this next week, and so make sure to keep up to date on the goyotes.com website with everything that's happening, because there's so much stuff. We're already over an hour. We can't cover it all on this show every single week.
We've been on an hour.
What was that, Jordan?
We've been on an hour. Holy crap.
Yep, we've been on an
hour two. Hour two coming up after the break. First, a word from our sponsors.
One final thing here. Mark, you did mention the Coyote Report tomorrow night, Monday night at the OLC in Vermilion. It's at 6 p.m. If you want to go have a beer with Mark, do it, okay? Or you could just listen on KB. I think it's KBHT, isn't it? In 106.
Yes. Yep, I did that.
106.3.
Eye chart now.
So
if you haven't been, you should come down. You get to rub elbows with the coaches, and Petey's really good about making the rounds and saying hi to everybody. It's a good time.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued. Maybe I need to make it a priority. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll make it into a little date night with the wife tomorrow night. We'll see what happens. My wife likes nothing better than spending a date night with her husband and Mark Wendt. So that's kind of, her ideal date night, I guess. So
if my wife has to come with me in the car for an extended period of time, the only way I get her in the car is if I promise that she gets to listen to Wicked soundtrack to wherever we go. So also watched it for the first time on Friday, Valentine's Day, had to do it. Great movie. Like, come on. If you're a guy, it's like wearing pink. Just watch Wicked if your girl's into it. Okay? It's great.
I'm not going to lie. Valentine's Day, my wife and I had a romantic lunch at a gas station. And then I directed a high school basketball doubleheader Friday night. So that was how I spent my Valentine's Day, Jordan.
Hey, before we get into the last segment, I'm calling out. I don't give a damn what president with the price of eggs. Whoever can bring down the price of plants, such as florals, has my vote. The price of flowers is too damn high. Just saying.
Clip it. I didn't have to worry about any of that, you guys. I didn't even know it was Valentine's Day.
I'd rather have the price of eggs lower. All right. And now...
And that's just what they wanted to do there. And all things considered, again, as you see the eye chart cardboard cutout, how appropriate.
Through the review, the eye chart made its way to the video board. It really injected some energy.
Everyone knows Mark Wendt is famous for holding up that eye chart at sporting events when officials make questionable calls during the game. So we have a segment each week called Eye Chart of the Week, where we talk about some of the questionable calls in life or in games that have happened during the prior week. This week, we'll go ahead and review our last show, which was 2 weeks ago. And you can see we had a lot of votes. 127,964 people chimed in. And 53%.
That's down from last week.
Said that Dexter/Travis deserves the eye chart of the week over Mark and Jordan. So that was the results from last time.
For Mark and Jordan for doing absolutely nothing wrong.
Just saying the wrong score first. I mean,
I feel like mine should have had way more than 15% of the vote, but clearly I am on a losing streak here.
Well, the trouble is the Kansas Jayhawks have blown a lot of leads lately. And
shout out Craig Smith.
Yeah,
shout
they're not doing so hot. They got projected to be a 4 or 5 seed, I think, on Saturday, and then Utah knocked them off last night. So interesting time of year for basketball. But Mark, you went ahead and won. So go ahead and give us your eye chart of the week.
Yeah, so I had quite a few nominees over the course of today that I could have used, but I chose to give it to the University of Illinois. They retired somebody's jersey. Unfortunately, I can't read it
Cannon Jr.
because it's upside down. I don't know how we get to the point where we have thousands of people in the stadium. Obviously, we have the spotlight, only to find out that the entire thing is upside down. I don't know how that happened. And there's a video out there, I didn't get to watch it, where the AD's trying to explain it, but whoever posted it flipped it. It's upside down. So University of Illinois, you get my eye chart of the week.
Did they, Mark, do we know, did they hang it up during the game or did they fix it for the game?
Well, I assume it was like a normal unveil, like they had the black carpet over it, and they either that or they pulled a string.
There's video of it. It actually rolled down. And it was
during the game when it hung upside down.
Yes. They unrolled it and it came down upside down. I saw a video of that during the game.
That's phenomenal.
Embarrassing, but so I'm going to go ahead and do a disclaimer here. I don't know any of the circumstances behind my eye chart of the week, but I'm going to go ahead and give it anyways. So just remember that the opinions expressed on this show are solely those of Mark, Jordan, Chad, and do not reflect the opinions or beliefs of USD or the USD Athletic Department. Additionally, I do want to say that just like Colin Cowherd, I can change my opinion if I get additional information. So I'll go ahead and throw that out there. But I'm going to go ahead and give my eye chart of the week to Midco Sports. Midco Sports broadcast the USD at South Dakota State women's basketball game on Saturday. And rather than having their normal cast of professional play-by-play and analysts that take, that call the games, they had Associate Athletic Director for Communications of South Dakota State Athletic Department, Tyler Merriam, calling the action during the game for a Midco Sports broadcast. It wasn't a Summit League Network broadcast. It was a Midco Sports broadcast. I don't know how you could have a homer like that, someone that's full-time employed by one of the schools calling the game, but Midco Sports gets my eye chart of the week.
I did notice that, and I get how the sponsorships work for the game too, but it was very, very egg school heavy. And I'm not knocking Tyler because I think he's a professional and I thought he did a good job on the call, but that's a good one, Chad. For a Midco Sports game, I was a little bummed out on that one. All right, mine, as Mark mentioned too, this week there's always a lot of eye chart nominees when it's State U week, especially if you go down the Twitter sphere. But my eye chart of the week, I don't even remember the guy's name, to be honest with you. But to the 1 to 3 fans from Brookings that called Grace Larkins overrated. They called Grace good, but overrated. I would imagine those folks also called Kobe Bryant good, but overrated. I don't know how much more I need to explain because she's one of the most obvious players of the year that we've had in a long time in the Summit League. She's one of the best to ever lace them up in the Summit League, obviously for USD women's basketball. First time watching, I don't know. Yeah. I don't remember the guy's name, but there were a few responding to Matt Zimmer that said she was good, but overrated. I don't know how to argue with someone with the IQ of a rock. So those individuals that called Grace overrated are my eye chart of the week.
And as you just heard, and I think she was very genuine when she said she would average 2 points a game if it meant they won. I think she's genuine when she says that. So
She holds the ball too much. She shoots too much. She leads the league in assists, you guys. I will defend that kid to the death.
Ridiculous. We had a lot of other nominees this week. As I mentioned, Tim Stewart easily could have been nominated. Todd Van Sossen today.
For lack of a better description, Chad, was that the bald ref today?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, he was awful. And I'm saying both sides. The first 10, oh God, oh man. You're gonna give me the first 10 minutes he's calling it one way. The next 10 minutes, all of a sudden it's ticky-tack. The second half was a complete disaster. Like either let the post play, let the guards guard each other, or just come on, man.
Now I'm an official guy. I like officials. I get along with them. I follow them very. I defend them quite a bit, don't I, Mark? During games,
a little bit, yeah.
So for me to say that maybe someone had a rough game, that's saying something. So I'm going to go ahead and say those two maybe could have had a little bit of a nominee, but yeah, several other potential nominees out there. Hopefully, we don't have as rough of a week this next coming week.
We'll see at Star Wars night, so I'm gonna have a lightsaber ready for those officials. No, I'm just kidding. That's an empty threat. That's an empty threat. They're like 25 cents.
Baby Yoda. All right.
Baby Yoda's coming with me. Yep. Be in your seat, Chad.
Well,
I'll bring mine. Hey, we're gonna bring the Fam Bam down again. I'll bring my Baby Yoda. I think we got a couple other Star Wars things.
I've got all kinds of masks.
The Jedi cape. I don't know.
Yeah, I've got masks and stuff if you need them, Jordan. So,
I got a Chewbacca mask. The problem is my head is too big for it, so the jaw stays open. So you just constantly hear Chewbacca just yelling. So it can get kind of annoying, but once you get past the first 30 seconds, it's fine.
Oh,
Mark, will that bother you? No? Okay, I'll wear the Jedi cape. All right.
Looking forward to this week. It's gonna be a good one. Any final comments, fellas?
I would just say we certainly appreciate Grace Larkins joining us. That was fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yep. That was a fun episode. Thanks to Grace. Yo, Fans Unite for USD is coming up. In general, for USD folks, check your damn emails. Follow USD and USD Athletics on social because they do communicate with you on things that are happening. You just got to kind of open the emails and check social media.
All right. Well, thank you so much, as these guys mentioned, to Grace Larkins for joining us tonight. And, until next time, for Jordan Decker and for Mark Wendt, I'm Chad Berger. Go Yotes.
Go Yotes.